Wisp Sports Radio, the voice of women in sport.
Kia ora, I'm Zoe George and welcome to the June episode of Fair Play, a podcast covering women in sport from athletes and results to current affairs and issues. This podcast is made in association with Wisp Sports, Locker Room and RNZ. If you're into podcasts as much as we are, check out RNZ for politics, crime and lifestyle podcasts. And if you want your sports injection, check out wispsports.com and Locker Room for everything to do with women in sport. This month, Kiwi Ferns captain Hani Hiremi talks double headers and the team's new sponsor. The new head of the Women's Cricket World Cup 2021, Andrea Nelson, chats about what needs to be done in the next 2 years before the event, and we catch up with paraclimber Rachel Meyer as she prepares for the Worlds next month. And of course, it's not fair play without an update on the toilets at the Basin Reserve. Today's co-host is former international footballer turned New Zealand Football Foundation CEO Michelle Cox. Michelle made her international debut in 1987, representing New Zealand for 11 years, and she played in Germany. She also comes from a family of international athletes, with her mum and sister both kicking the ball around for New Zealand. Since her international career, Michelle has travelled the world with the sport she loves. She's worked for FIFA and UEFA. She was part of the team who worked towards allowing female footballers to wear headscarves, and also went into the world's largest refugee camps. Most recently, she's turned her attention to cricket as the National Female Participation Manager and is doing that alongside her new role in football. Kia ora, welcome to Fair Play.
Thanks, Zoe.
Let's talk about football first. The World Cup might be over for New Zealand, but what are your thoughts on how we went?
Oh, Tom and the girls, I know they'll be so disappointed because they didn't get out of the group, and they so wanted to have done that. And it could have gone so differently had the first game they'd had a little bit more luck. But I think we need to be really realistic about the level of competition that they're playing against. They played against the 5th best team in the world, the 8th best team in the world, and Cameroon, who somehow are ranked 46. I don't know, that's another story about the FIFA rankings. Yeah. But all the African teams are notoriously difficult to play against. But I think we've definitely continuously improved, and we're definitely in that second tier of teams who are always competitive, and on their day they can shock. But what we lack is the real world-class players, particularly in the midfield and up front, who can really terrorise other teams with their speed and power and combined with their technical ability. So I think we need to work on finding those athletes, and we have a great coach now, so I know he'll know what we need to do to get to that level.
Is that pathway there? I mean, we just have to look at the under-17s who did so well last year. There's got to be a strong pathway and future for women in football in New Zealand.
Oh, I think the pathway is very good, and I know, for example, with cricket, we were looking at the football pathway because it is exceptionally good, particularly at the youth level. So there are a lot of opportunities for girls to play at different levels, whether it be recreationally or in an elite way. But those under-17s, that really excites me because those girls have had now a taste of what it's like to be in the top, the top 3.
Oh, it was exciting. Gosh, it was exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're psychologically, they know they can do it. So that is good for the future.
Let's talk about the US team. They had a 13-0 win over Thailand, and the players celebrating, according to some commentators, excessively. Do you agree with this?
What I would say is the US players are the best in the world. They're absolute professionals, and this is their chance to show the world that they are the best. So that's part of their competitiveness and their intimidation package. They show absolutely no mercy, and in some ways it's important, not about the celebration, but about the goal. So some people I heard said, okay, they should have applied a mercy law, but if you never know in football, if it comes down to goal difference, then those 13 goals might count. So personally, I would never have done something like that, but maybe that's why I wasn't as good as those US players. And although, I have to say this, I was part of the only New Zealand team to have ever beaten the US, and I played in defence on that day with my mother.
Oh, that's lovely.
Isn't that awesome?
It's fantastic. And of course, okay, there's always talk about the way female players look. Most recently, it's been about their makeup and hair on the pitch. Is that something that should be covered, or should it even matter?
I think it's been covered because it's a novelty and it's something very new in football, and eventually I don't think it'll be talked about at all. But do you know what I really like is the fact that the players feel comfortable and want to wear makeup. I think that's fantastic because, you know, if you go on the field and you feel great already, that is a real psychological benefit, because I know back in my day when we had to go on the field in all whites hand-me-downs, and, you know, like one time I remember folding over my waistband about 10 times and my shorts were still down to my knees, and you already feel frumpy and yucky before you go on the field. So and we were also teased if we wanted to wear mascara. So I'm actually all for the players doing what they want, whether that is wearing makeup or not wearing makeup at all.
Michelle Cox is our guest co-host this month. Recently, Kiwi Ferns played Whetu Samoa in a double header with New Zealand men's team. The Kiwi Ferns completely dominated on the field, scoring 46-8. A new sponsor, Sky Sport, has just been announced for the side, and we're joined by Captain Hani Hirimi, who's on the line. Kia ora, Hani.
Kia ora.
Before we start, though, tell us about the haka that you performed before the game, because it was very powerful.
Yeah, well, that haka is Te Iwi Kiwi, and it's been actually specifically composed for the men's and the women's team, and they actually pulled us in as players a couple of years ago and sort of got our thoughts on it and then put it all together. But what we found is some of the words were a little bit different, so that when Roger Tuivasa-Sheck got his LEM last year, and the boys got up, that was quite a big moment, and the boys got up, and there was a few of the Kiwi Fern players there, and they wanted to get up also, but we had different words. So what we done last year, because of that moment, is we actually tied our words in together. Still very similar meaning, but now, if the opportunity arises where we can perform the haka together, then we're sort of all on the same page. So yeah, it's quite significant New Zealand Rugby League.
It was a fantastic way to start the game, because you could tell that the players were amped up and ready to go. 46-8, it's a bit of a trouncing, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I mean, it was a great score for us, and we were really proud of the performance, but I don't think the score really reflected how competitive the game was. I mean, I'm only back at work today. I had to take yesterday off because physically I was really feeling it. And that was a general consensus across the squad. I mean, they physically really brought that match, that physicality to us, and we really had to match that. And so I actually thought they actually played really well against us.
Honey, can I ask you a question? How do you train for those knocks? Like, do you become accustomed to that, or is there a specific training that you do to be able to cope with that? Because I can't imagine how that would feel.
That's actually a really good question, because a lot of my training leading into this test match was a lot of sort of running fitness and game fitness, and I probably hadn't spent enough time, in the gym getting some, decent muscle, I suppose, behind me. So I really felt a fair bit of impact that day. So I've learned from that, and I'll definitely make sure that I make that little bit of a transition in terms of my training leading into big physical battles like that. I mean, the hits, and you'd see from the highlights, the hits were pretty fierce. So, you can prepare for that. And it's just looking at your strength and conditioning, and sure you've got just as much strength behind you to be able to take those impacts, as well as all your other fitness and running and all the rest of it.
You had a double header with the men's team this weekend just gone. How important are these double headers for the women's game?
Yeah, they're really important, and it's really good to see that we're going away from the whole language around curtain raiser. It is a double header, and it's not just really the game that happens on the Saturday, but it's the whole build up when you're bringing these teams in together for a whole week together. I mean, we literally spent the week with the men's team. We ate with them, we socialised with them, and it just brings that whole culture of New Zealand Rugby League together. So, these are some of the side effects, I suppose, that come off these double headers. And not only that, a lot of the boys were joining us in training. We had a lot of the Warriors boys coming along, and it's just great to get the men alongside the women's game, and they see the value in it, and they see how good the game is, that they're actually ringing our coaches. And like last year we had Simon Mannering, this year we had Blake Green. They're actually ringing and saying, hey, look, can we come and help out? Can we come and help out the ladies? So that's really cool for us.
That's great that you've got the men and women side by side. We've been having a big discussion here in New Zealand over the past couple of weeks, and I know that you've been part of that discussion. 11-year-old Briar Hales from the Hawke's Bay has been playing in the boys' rugby team, and what was happening is they were competing in a competition, and they said that if she was to take the field, then the team weren't going to get any points because she shouldn't be playing in the boys' team. Should we be dividing sport by sex?
No, I think that, the sporting organisations, the national organisations, they have certain rules in place, and just like New Zealand Rugby have a rule in place that, the girls can play in the boys' team up until a certain age. So my annoyance with that is that these school principals have gone, and made up their own rules. In this case with Briar, and it's actually happened with another girl as well. They should just be allowing, and the thing is that Briar is playing and has been playing club footy alongside these boys against the same group of boys within the school competition since she's been playing since she was 5, I think her dad said, 5 or 6. So, and they're talking about health and safety, but she plays week in and week out alongside these boys against some of the boys that are at the other schools. So I don't think it's an issue, and I don't think it should be divided by sex in terms of, that's not the decision for the schools to make. I think it's more decision for the national sporting bodies to be making those, and that, we follow those as schools or whoever's running tournaments and things like that.
Kiwi Ferns captain Hani Hirimi is our guest today. New sponsor for the Kiwi Ferns, Sky Sport. What does that mean for the team and for the sport?
Oh, it's really huge. I mean, their money now, their sponsorship or their partnership with us now allows us to get more fixtures, to play more games. We've done I've been involved with the Kiwi Ferns for years, and often our calendar looks like 1, maybe 2 games a year. But with them coming on board, we're getting more fixtures, we're getting more support. They're not just supporting us, they're supporting the junior Kiwis as well, so that they get more fixtures. And the more fixtures that we get, then we're able to compete more and continue to lift the profile of rugby league within New Zealand, which is it's just awesome. And then they've got their logos displayed across all our jerseys, and it looks great as well. So we're really grateful for the partnership with Sky Sport, and I think they're really leading the way, specifically in that women's space. They're really getting behind women in sport within New Zealand. So yeah, we're just rapt to have them on board.
And what's coming up for the Ferns?
Yeah, so now we all break off and go into our NRL season. So that's coming up sort of August, September. So we all go away and play in our clubs for that, or stay here and play in our clubs for that, with obviously the Warriors, and they've got the Broncos, the Dragons and the Roosters teams. And then we come back together. We have a World Cup 9-a-side tournament, which is happening straight after the NRL. And then after the Nines tournament, I think we have a week break, and then we're straight into the Trans-Tasman Test, which is a big one for us against Australia over in Sydney. So it's quite a big calendar, which we're really excited about. Kiwi
Ferns captain Hani Hirimi. Michelle, sports development has been a core part of your career. Why was it so important to get into that?
I think because I've personally experienced and seen so many other people experience all the great benefits there are of sport, so psychological, social, as well as all the physical stuff. And even now, being, I'd say, nearly elderly woman.
Stop it.
If I'm not fit and healthy, I'm a bit fat chops. I know it, and I think so many people, because they haven't been in peak condition, they don't have that comparison to know that they're not healthy. So I want so many more people, especially women and girls, to know that feeling of what it is like to, be running freely and feeling strong and feeling wonderful. But it's also not just about sport development. I'm also really passionate about sport for development, so providing that social benefit through sport. And there are so many great examples of where we've seen sport help society. So, for example, when I worked for Prince Ali bin Al Hussein, who was the FIFA vice president on his Asian football development project, so it was all about sport for development and all the good that can come through sport. So we did a lot of work in the refugee camps in Jordan during the Syrian war, and one of the key problems there was that the young boys were bored and they had nothing to do, and then they started causing trouble, stealing, vandalising, attacking girls. So we went in there and built some football pitches and set up some competitions, and that really helped not only stop those sorts of problems, but also help alleviate the trauma that those people had gone through.
It would have been quite an eye-opening experience.
It was, it is, and that's sort of where my love for this, what we can do, and we can do so much more in New Zealand in that space. It's easy to say, and I think the sad thing, but the good thing about Christchurch is saying we need to use every tool we can to help build social cohesion and all the other issues we have in New Zealand. Just because we're a developed country, it doesn't mean we don't have problems that sport can't help fix.
And you've been applying your trade to New Zealand cricket as well.
I have.
Yeah, why cricket? Well, why not? Who doesn't love cricket, right?
Yeah, that's right. And I played cricket all through my youth. My mum played cricket. My dad actually was the promoter of the first ever Kerry Packer World Series here in New Zealand. So I have got a bit of a cricket background. And my brother-in-law is a former Auckland ace, so that's the connection.
You can't escape it.
I can't.
And actually, New Zealand Cricket's won a Leadership and Diversity and Inclusion Award this week at the Sport New Zealand Awards. What does that mean to you?
Oh, it's amazing because, I'm sure you've heard about the report that was done, the Women in Cricket report that was done in 2016. And actually it was a very similar situation to football in New Zealand. So what happened is the Women's Association amalgamated with the national organisation in both circumstances, and the attention got sort of waylaid in terms of the support for women's games. So out of this report in the cricket situation, there has been a lot of initiatives and a lot of support put in place by New Zealand Cricket to remedy what has happened in the past and to build on the future of the game for women and girls, and it's really working.
Well, the future is female. We are hosting the Women's Cricket World Cup in 2021, and Andrea Nelson has been appointed Chief Executive of Cricket 2021 Limited, the independent company set up to run the ICC Women's World Cup here in New Zealand. She's had a long association with large sports events. She was the General Manager for the Rugby League World Cup in 2017, was the Director of Marketing and Comms for the FIFA Under-20 World Cup, and held senior marketing and editorial roles with London 2012. She starts her new role this month, and I know, Michelle, that you are sharing an office with Andrea.
We are.
Kia ora, Andrea.
Hello and hi, Michelle.
Hi. I hope you're keeping my boss in check.
I will.
Andrea, what's your connection to cricket?
Oh, look, I'm a cricket tragic as a fan. It's the sport that I first loved, and but I also am the mother of a 10-year-old cricket obsessive. So he can actually name almost as many white birds as black cats, and that's before I got this job, and I'm obviously schooling him up now. But I think it's really shown me how putting women's sport on television, it changes the game, and it's as much about showing young boys as inspiring young girls to, what women can do in sport.
Oh, absolutely. Well, cricket is cricket no matter who's playing, right?
Absolutely. And the fundamentals of the game are just addictive once you fall in love with it, and I can't wait to showcase women's cricket around New Zealand.
What's your role going to look like?
Well, it's very early days for me, Zoe, but having been in place, I've been in a few days so far. But I've been reporting to an independent board to deliver the Women's World Cup 2021 here. So really what we'll be looking to do is establish what's the event going to deliver, how are we going to take women's cricket to their next level here in New Zealand and around the world, where are we going to stage the event, how are we going to get the crowds along, and really creating a platform for the world's best players to kind of play the best cricket they can and be seen by as many people as possible.
And what do you think are some of the biggest challenges that you're going to face with this? Because at the moment, women's cricket is starting to get more coverage, but there's got to be something bigger than that though, right?
Absolutely. Look, I mean, every event kind of brings its own challenges and opportunities, and I'd say here on this one in my early days for me yet, but it is about profile and that grassroots connection. It's going to be about really making heroes of the White Ferns and the international players, bringing them into households around New Zealand so that people start to fall in love with the sports people as well as the game. It's going to be about getting the people along to the event. We've seen women's cricket in Australia and the UK attract really big numbers on the back of having a very different offering. It's a family-friendly, more relaxed environment, and families have really taken to it and looking to recreate some of that here in New Zealand, and really just, as you say, it's getting that profile up as much as possible. Yeah,
the Australian Women's Big Bash is huge. It's getting massive crowds, bigger than a number of the men's games. It's great to see that, and hopefully that will transfer over to us.
Well, absolutely, and in fact, yesterday I was talking to one of the key people behind that progress and learning some lessons from them, and they learned a lot from other sports. The AFLW really was an inspiration, and I think a rising tide lifts all boats in women's sport. We don't have to be patch protective. We can work together. Women's Rugby World Cup obviously taking place also in 2021, and we're really keen to use that opportunity to kind of bring the two sports together and make women's sport kind of top of mind.
Yeah, I love the fact that we've got the Cricket World Cup and the Rugby World Cup in the same year. It's like, it's sports heaven.
It absolutely is, yeah.
Okay, come on. You've got to have some inside scoops about where the final might be held. The Basin Reserve, maybe?
Oh, look, I am not going to make any comment on that on my first day, or I suspect it will be my last day. So what we are doing is starting to talk to the cricket associations in the host cities starting this week, and really kind of understanding what's available, who's keen for what, and we're looking to make an announcement before the end of the year on that.
Oh, that's exciting. Oh, well, I vote for the Basin Reserve, but only because, it's my local and I love it. I mean, how could you not like the Basin Reserve?
I'll take that under consideration.
That would be great. It was Andrea Nelson who's been appointed Chief Executive of Cricket 2021, the independent company set up to run the ICC Women's World Cup. It's going to be in New Zealand. I really hope it is at the Basin Reserve, the final. Just saying. I know I've said it a few times, but I'm just saying.
Just a few.
Just a few. Being in cricket, what are your thoughts on equal pay and sponsorship for women and girls in cricket? Because at the moment, female players are not being paid the same as the men.
I definitely believe in a transition model, so that's where we want to end up, obviously. So we need to enact some deliberate steps towards that. And, for example, a big part of that is the media and the support generated from the media. So as we heard before, the more coverage that women's sport gets, the more stars we create, and the familiarity that the public have with the women's side of the game, and then in turn this interest in numbers then generate the type of interest from sponsors that we need to create more investment in the game, and then that brings in more income, and then we can afford to pay the players and pay them decently.
Can we just give the Black Caps a pay cut?
Yeah, it's pretty hard to take back. Actually, do you know, in football, that's what happened with, I think it was one of the Scandinavian countries. So the men felt so strongly, the national team, that the women should be paid the same as them, that they voluntarily gave them part of their salaries.
Wow.
So that was a very, they're leading countries for that sort of behaviour and action. So, but women's football is a really good example of how, when I think back to even 5 years ago, it was really just viewed as a cost centre. And now with the real concerted effort from FIFA, from the leading MAs like Germany, France, the US, who have really worked hard to increase the exposure and the awareness and the affinity towards the women's game, they've generated that interest from the public. And now it's a profitable exercise, and they're attracting sponsors who want to be associated with the women's game, not just because of the interest it's generating in the public, but also because of the image it brings to the association with them. It's women's football is seen as a sort of the pure form of the game. There's no diving. There's not the same clinical behaviour that you see. There's still the emotional heart in it. So that's what the sponsors are loving. And the FIFA Women's World Cup is now profitable, which is fantastic.
As part of your new role as CEO of the New Zealand Football Foundation, will you be working around this equal pay for men and women in football? Because it is a topic that has been of discussion, particularly in the last 12 months.
It's interesting because we had this discussion at cricket. It's quite, because the sports are different models, it's very, you also have to take that into consideration in terms of the fact that, for example, it's easier for football to say, we're paying the players equally because, from a national organisational point of view, because they're actually, the clubs are paying the players. So it's only about really the camps and so on and the daily allowance, whereas in cricket, the players are paid centrally. So that has to be taken into consideration about who is actually paying them. But with the Football Foundation, that's at the moment, that's what we're going through in terms of, okay, what are the areas that we are going to create in terms of our criteria for funding. And we know that it will definitely be in 3 strategic pillars. So that will be women and girls, youth football, and hardship funding. So we're going through that exercise at the moment, and that would be a very, very good cause, I think, that we could support.
Well, funding is definitely a hot issue, and it's something that paraclimber Rachel Meyer, who's a regular on Fair Play, is currently trying to achieve. In April, we brought you the story of her amputation. Then in May, we heard how she was back on the wall for nationals. Now she's busy preparing for the Worlds in France in July. She's back on the wall, and she's also fundraising to get there. She joins us on the line. Tell us about the new leg that you've just been fitted with.
The new leg that I'm continually fitted with. Look, it's a process. Obviously, there's still healing happening, and these fittings sort of happen, and then we have to do it again and again. And I was fitted yesterday with the leg, and this morning it didn't go on at all, and the leg went blue trying to put it on. So very early days, and some days it works out, and I'll wear a leg for half an hour or an hour, and other days we're on crutches, which I just get to consider as strength training, really.
Fair enough. There's always positives, right?
Silver lining. Yep, let's roll with that.
How the prep's going for the Worlds? Because it's like next month.
Yeah, I leave on the 11th.
Oh my
ridiculous.
goodness.
I think I'm learning more and more that when you're sort of in this post-major surgery situation, the preparation is a lot mental. And it's a constant sort of delicate balance of seeing how far I can push my body physically and then stepping back and going, I would love to do more, but that's not going to be healthy for me right now, so I'll do less today. And then when you're doing that and you're not training as much as you'd like to be, just trying to keep your head in a really positive mindset that who I am and what state I'm in when I get to the wall in France, that's going to be my best for that moment. And if I can stay positive around that mentality, then I can bring my best performance for this point in life, and I can consider the event, growth, and I'm setting myself up to succeed for a couple of years. But certainly a lot of mental preparation going in to stay positive when I feel like I'm not at my best.
What are your expectations for France? Have you got any?
Yeah, I swing on that one all the time. Look, I would never count myself out because that's not how you prepare. But at the same time, I think I'm just going to be incredibly proud if I can turn up. And, from the day of the amputation to the day of the competition, it is just shy of 5 months. So that is a huge ask. And I guess I didn't really maybe understand how much I was expecting of myself when I set the target and the goal. But at the same time, I would never quit on it, and I'm so excited to be going. And my expectations are I bring my A game, and that's what I'm going to do.
You've been fundraising through Give a Little. How's that going? Are you getting close to your target?
I'm getting closer to my target. Yep, we're about 3.5 out of 6K Give a Little target. The whole funding target is actually a lot bigger than that because I need to bring a support person with me. But from beautiful, wonderful followers on social media and through Radio New Zealand, that's sort of the target I set to Give a Little. It's tough. It's a tough sport. So we're a minority group within a minority sport, and we receive no funding, nothing through our federation, and we're all completely in it for the love of the sport and sort of pushing our own way over there at this sort of early stage for rock climbing worldwide. So that's always a bit tough. But again, it's for the love of the sport, and I just get such a kick out of what I do. There's no going back once you're addicted to something.
How do you cope with heights? Being someone who's terrified of heights.
With heights? Well, that's an interesting question. I do get asked every now and again, and there's always a bit of a chuckle, so feel free to enjoy this. But I'm still quite scared of heights.
Oh, my gosh.
And I have been known to have had a panic attack in a competition, in a final, at sort of 3 moves from the top of the wall. And I really have to work, and that's where that mental preparation comes in. I've lost a leg because of a rock climbing fall. So heights for me, it's like a hate relationship with gravity, really. And that's where I've taught myself, I guess, when that panic starts to set in, what's my reset button? What is it that takes me to a really happy place so I can bring the world to just back to a small space and just back to that one move in front of me, and then pull that one move off and then move on to the next. And I don't cry too much along the way, but it's tough. It's tough. But you feel pretty jolly awesome once you get to the top and you do that despite your fears. It's probably a good analogy for life, really, isn't it?
That's amazing. Yeah, great analogy.
What does the next few weeks look like for you, Rachel, before you head off to Worlds?
A whole lot of panic.
No, come on.
No, lots of positive truth coaches throughout every day, like, I can do this.
Yeah, you can.
So trying to keep up with some training, organising things for my kids, trying to pull together last-minute funding. We've got a fundraiser through a clothing apparel line called Badass Apparel, and they're selling these beautiful T-shirts and singlets which have Kia Maya, Be Bold, Be Brave on the front. And so bold and brave is the meaning of my name, and so that's really special that someone's put that together for me. Trying to sell a few more of those and pull everything together, really. Stay happy. Don't stress.
Yeah, well, go well. We look
Thank
forward
you.
to following your success at the Worlds, and we'll talk to you again in July.
I look forward to that. Cool.
That's paraclimber Rachel Meyer. You can follow her on Instagram at Rachel Meyer NZ. Isn't she just incredible, Michelle?
Oh, absolutely amazing. I love that story about the heights. And she's so right. That is a great analogy for life.
But you've climbed to different heights. I mean, now you're a CEO of the New Zealand Football Foundation. That's a different kind of height, but it's quite precarious sometimes up there, isn't it?
Well, hopefully not. I'm hoping not to strike that so early on.
Yeah. What do you think? What's your role going to entail?
Basically, it's 2 things. It's very simple. So the foundation was created out of the qualification funding money that the All Whites received in 2010 for the FIFA World Cup. So that's a $4 million capital fund, and then we've had some amazing people like Sir Ian Edgar and Mark Stewart who've provided very generous donations of $500,000 each. So that's topped up the fund, and along with numerous other wonderful donors. So we use that interest to then provide funding and grants to worthy causes in football. So we really want to make, in terms of growth, we want to grow this fund by 2030 to $20 million so that we can give out annually $2 million in grants. And, we've done some wonderful things, like I think it was 7 of the under-17 football ferns who won the bronze medal at their World Cup. They came through a program that we've supported, the Future Ferns Development Program, which provides support for their funding and training, and also for girls to go and trial overseas with clubs. So, for example, CJ Bott and Michaela Moore had support from the foundation to go and trial with their clubs in Germany. So we work at that level, but also in the community. So we just want to make New Zealand better through and for football, and that's my aim to be able to, and that's what excited me about this role, because we can really make this as big as we want to and really help not only football in New Zealand, but New Zealand through football.
That's fantastic. And you're still juggling your role with New Zealand cricket and this new role. They kind of work together, though, quite well.
Oh, I'm a great believer in working together with other sports, and we learn so much from each other. We bring different understandings. Like, for example, cricket has a certain demographic that is very different to other sports. So, for example, rugby and rugby league, and we can learn how to work with each other's market so we can bring more people into the game. And with football, learning our new demographics of our society are changing, and they're very football focused and also very cricket focused. They're very friendly towards those sports. So learning how to bring all those people together and, just get the best out of the sport and the best for the country out of sport too.
Absolutely. Well, it's almost time for us to go, but it's not fair play without an update from the toilets at the Basin Reserve. This has been an ongoing story now, Michelle, for about 19 months.
Oh dear.
So tenders for the redesign of the toilets at the Basin closed at the end of May. Wellington City Council, who is overseeing the work, say the redesign of the museum stand toilets will be done by Shan Shelton as part of the overall contract as lead design architect for the museum stand strengthening and upgrade project. The construction of the toilets is expected to be undertaken by Armstrong Downs. It's likely they'll involve subcontractors in this work as well. The project is scheduled to be completed in June 2020. We'll bring you another update on the toilets in the next episode.
Got to have a good toilet.
Absolutely, it's important. Having, providing good facilities, particularly in the fact that when we look at cricket, that audience numbers are getting 50-50 when it comes to men and women. We've got to make it more family friendly, and I think with the Women's World Cup coming up, this is a great time to address this issue.
Absolutely. One of the top priorities.
Good to hear. I'm going to hold you to that. And that's it for this episode of Fair Play. Thanks to Hani Hirimi, Andrea Nelson, Rachel Meyer, and of course Michelle Cox. It's been lovely having you in the studio talking football and cricket and everything else in between. We hope that you'll come back and join us again soon.
Thank you, Zoe. It's a pleasure.
Conversations from the world of women's sports. This is Wisp Sports Radio.
You can follow all the action at Locker Room, at RNZ and at Wisp Sports, and you can find us on Facebook and Twitter. I'm Zoe George. Don't forget to play hard but play fair.